Just quieten down, baby.
Per capita export value.
Library.
Minister, are you embarrassed by your behavior today?
There's a lot of bleeding hearts around.
Do you have the fortitude or the gonads to stand up and come across here and say that to me, you son of a bitch?
Just watch me.
He certainly went too far, Mr. Speaker, when I saw him stick his tongue out.
Contemptuous disregard.
More than a slab of bacon talking here.
The disappointment you also feel is my responsibility.
I lost my temper. What is the nature of your thoughts?
The word was F-A-R-T.
Hello and welcome to Canadian Politics is Boring. My name is Rhys Waters and with me is Jesse.
Hello.
And we have a very, very special guest with us. Katy, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Katy, can you introduce yourself? I describe you as a journalist and kind of, I suppose you're really active on Twitter. You're kind of like a very proactive Twitter journalist with a kind of an intense interest in politics.
Yeah, so I am a columnist by, well, that's what my paycheck says. But I am very active on Twitter, and I do kind of more unique things for my Twitter than I would with the paycheck.
Jesse, have you seen any of Katy's?
Oh, yeah. No, I saw a video that you posted the other day, and it seems like you're very natural in front of the camera, which is not something I can say about myself. But yeah, how did you get into this?
Well, it really all started with COVID, I guess. I started covering COVID on Twitter. I did every single federal COVID briefing, which was over 150 hours of Justin Trudeau COVID briefings, as well as every single provincial briefing. And
including the Speak Moistly.
Yeah, I watched that live. I watched the Speaking Moistly live. But so when I started tweeting about Justin Trudeau, sometimes in briefings, how it all really started was sometimes in briefings, I didn't really understand what events they were talking about because, of course, things were happening all over the world. So then I would go into Twitter search and just quickly look up Trudeau and whatever event it was to find context, you know, a news article or someone else talking about it. And then I kind of happened upon the more right-wing people that were also talking about Justin Trudeau.
Oh, God.
So it's a rabbit hole that I kind of fell down like 2.5 years ago, and I'm still falling down it actively.
So Katy has like met and interviewed some of the most prominent kind of right-wing conspiracy people and kind of also the populist politicians like Bernier, those kind of people.
You've interviewed right-wing conspiracy theorists?
Yes, I've interviewed and I've both just met the most rightest of wings that have visited Nova Scotia.
In Nova Scotia? We have them here?
They visit and we do have them here.
I suppose they could visit, but like...
Yeah. They're allowed in, Jesse.
I know. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was a lot easier when we had the vaccine passport because they stayed away for a long time.
Yeah.
Because even if they were vaccinated, which most of them are, they couldn't admit it.
Actually, okay, I have a question for you then in regards to like the vaccine. That just made a question pop into my head, the whole vaccine passport. There's, to me, a fairly direct correlation between the people who are in power in Nova Scotia, or who have been and currently are in power in Nova Scotia for the past 3 years, and our case numbers. And I'm wondering if you believe that's coincidental, or if it's just like the net, like it's, you know how like when we were one of the safest places in the world, right, and then suddenly we're one of the most infectious places in the world, and do you think that just had to do with like
Jesse, this sounds like a very traditional interview question. I got something more saucy.
Do you want to throw in a dick joke?
Let's talk about the Trudeau clones.
Let her answer my question.
You sound like you're into politics by asking that question.
That's your fault.
I will.
You cannot force me into this freaking podcast for 2 to 3 years, okay? And then when I'm finally asking an actual political question, stop me in the middle of my question and blame me for being into politics.
Because you'd stop me if I was asking that question.
To simply answer that question without I'll answer it very politically well. I'll not actually answer your question, but a theory about it. Have you ever seen the movie Cabin in the Woods?
I have.
You know the elevator scene?
Yes.
That's kind of what happened with COVID. It was like, it was sort of controlled. People were figuring it out, and then it just hit the fan. Like, it was just a new strain, a new way of it spreading, new things opening, that it was just, now the case numbers are going up because it is out of control. Like, but nobody's going to go back to March 2020.
No.
And nobody's even going to go back to August 2020. The masks are off. We're never going to get them back on. Vaccine uptake has dropped significantly. I would say things did change probably around September 2021.
Election time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is that entirely the government's fault? See, this is my theory about vaccines, masking, mandates.
Okay.
As much as the government does significantly care about its citizens.
Sorry, that was involuntary.
It is also very expensive for us to be in hospitals dying. Like, it's a bad idea to hurt your taxpayers, right? So we do have this progressive conservative government now that is very much about money. So for them to just wipe that off and people think they don't care, they do care, because hospital beds are costing their budget. Like, we're blowing the budget on these people. But I think really what happened was they thought Omicron changed everything. Like, if the government was taking masks off, slowing things down, up until January, we thought COVID was just going to continue as it had.
Yep.
We had, had a really good, relaxing time. But when Omicron hit, and it just, once Annie Ganesh happened and exploded around the province, we just could never get that back. Because the original COVID, we started with 4 cases.
Was that the hotspot for Omicron? Was that Annie Ganesh?
Yeah, St. FX is where the...
Oh, there was like a conference or like a get-together.
The ring ceremony.
Is that
the X
all
ceremony.
The X rings that people wear? Like, it's like a secret club. I thought they were X-Men, but...
Yeah, no.
Turns out they went to Annie Ganesh University.
That's really what happened, was it just exploded. Like,
their mutant power was spreading viruses.
If that had only cost 50 cases, then we would have been able to go back down. But Omicron and all of its variants of Omicron are just so contagious that we're just, I don't know if I can swear here, but
fuck yes, you could swear.
We're fucked. There's no getting past it now.
Now then, can we talk about Trudeau clones?
Yes.
Because as Katie was commentating on Trudeau's speeches during lockdown, the conspiracy theory was that he'd been replaced by clones. And because you were analysing what Trudeau was wearing every day, there was almost like a level of detail analysing him to identify how they could tell he was a clone.
So hold on, wait, this isn't like a jokey thing?
No, this is legitimately believed. Like, at first I thought maybe it was a joke and I was falling for it, but no, there is videos, Reddits, Twitter, full threads dedicated that Justin Trudeau's a clone. He is a clone.
You've interviewed people who believe this?
I've interviewed people that are within the sect that have believed this.
Have believed this.
Or
so
they still do.
Yeah,
so
okay.
This is what it is. There's a few theories behind why Justin Trudeau would need a clone. So one thing is he's in Guantanamo Bay because of the SNC-Lavalin scandal.
Of course, that's where they keep everyone who was involved in that scandal.
Of course.
Guantanamo Bay.
Jerry Butts is just, he flies back and forth.
Exactly.
I'm feeling so out of the loop right now.
So there's the whole the whole QAnon thing with Trump. There's the idea that a lot of the global elite were going to be arrested and detained, or had been detained and taken to Guantanamo Bay and replaced with clones. And it makes no. It doesn't. Am I right? It doesn't make any sense. I don't think I can be right or wrong. Right? Yeah, they're all clones.
The Queen was a clone.
Yeah.
Where did the original Queen go? Did they bury them both at the same time? Did they have to kill the other one?
Yeah. Did they just run out of clones?
Yeah.
Why are they cloning these people?
Just reasons.
Just reasons.
Why wouldn't you if you had the technology?
I mean,
so there's the SNC-Lavalin theory. There's that Obama had him arrested at like the G8 summit for something. And then there's some people that have tied him into the Pizzagate thing. Anyway, Justin Trudeau's in prison.
Oh.
Okay. So
it's not the real one.
It's not.
Justin Trudeau's clone is in prison.
No, the real Justin Trudeau.
The real Justin Trudeau is currently
in prison.
Okay. So with this, because
Katie is being, there's sarcasm in her voice when she's saying this. Jesse looked at me as if to go, "Does Katie believe this?"
So there's people like they have like photos of him broken down, like his teeth have changed, his ears are different, his hair's different, and what really
he's a clone.
What really pushed it
be identical
was in January 2020, he goes to Costa Rica and he comes back with a beard. And everyone's like, well, fuck, Justin Trudeau, he didn't have a beard before. That's not the same person.
How the fuck does somebody just get a beard?
I know. What a disguise. Okay, so then to get into the actual clones and how deep, like I'm only going to surface touch this because I only have, this could be like a marathon episode of trying to explain the clones. But so during the COVID briefings, that was one specific clone that lived in the house, and that clone had a tracking device on its ankle. There's one photo when he's coming down the stairs for a COVID briefing. His pant leg almost looks like a rectangle, like shape because he's clothes move.
Everybody knows Trudeau is terrible at ironing.
Yes, right. So, but so that had a tracking device, and that clone, the reason why he did all the briefings from his house was because the clone couldn't leave the house. And that's why they had a tracking device on it. Right. These clones are made in Tofino, BC, and that's why Trudeau goes back and forth to Tofino.
Because what you do...
Because nobody goes to BC unless they're a clone.
No, but like if
There's literally no other reason to go to BC.
My original thought on this is you take the prime minister and you put him in a prison. You clone him perfectly. You put him back in his house. And then you put a tracking device on his ankle because you're going to leave him the fuck alone and hope he stays.
Yes.
You're not going to put anyone around him. You're not going to have any supervision whatsoever. No, you're just going to hope he stays there. We got an ankle bracelet on him. Don't worry. He's not going anywhere. You don't have anyone outside, like a plainclothes officer just hanging out outside. No, we don't need that. It's the prime minister. It's a clone. We've got plenty of clones. He's not going anywhere.
I would like to think of this theory of like it's a dark night at Rideau Cottage. And like lights are going off, like the clone has escaped. Like, where's the clone going? But so
he's been talking about going to Disneyland for months. He's only 3 months old. He's an imperfect clone.
Is there like a clone island where like Biden's clone, Trudeau's clone,
like
Melania
the island?
Trump? Yeah, they're all just there.
I've heard of this before.
But okay, so
didn't we talk about something like that before?
An island of clones?
An island of like... No. It was Predator Island.
Predator Island.
Right, that's right. Where like all the... Like Trump is there. And like...
But the other thing I wanted to move on to as well, like the clones is just fascinating. That's just...
Right.
And that conspiracy theory goes beyond...
There's 2 other
Canada.
clones, by the way, but yes.
Oh, tell me about the other 2 clones.
Okay.
I didn't realize this.
Are we going to have clone
This
fights?
is new to me.
Okay, this is...
Clone Wars.
There are less clones and body doubles. There's another clone at Parliament Hill.
Great.
So that's the one that once COVID briefings started leaving the house, obviously they needed another clone, couldn't have the house clone.
That one's arguably the most boring life.
Yeah, it's just, he's like a Roomba.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
parliamentary Roomba.
So
Justin, you're finished your speech. Get back to swiping the floors.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's another clone. Parliament Hill has a clone. And then there's a body double that goes outside.
That's all he does.
Yeah, and that's why he always wears a mask, is because the body double, and this is the most offensive theory I've heard, is actually his brother that died.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
They've actually made him into another Trudeau. And they do this because, he looks older and stuff. And I'm like, he's in natural daylight. Like, he's not being lit by, whiteboards and stuff like that. But they're like, that's a totally different guy. And they will break these down.
Hold on.
I know.
They have the technology to to perfectly clone Trudeau several times for
But not
just to
perfectly. Teeth are different.
have the teeth are different, right? Yes, of course. That's part of it's the one damn thing of the cloning process we just can't perfect. God damn it!
It's like the Judge Dredd movie. I don't know if you've ever seen that one from the 90s.
Yeah.
Where they kind of half formed and they're all grey and blah blah blah.
I don't remember that. Thank God.
They're cloning his brother Rico, and they don't finish the process, and they're kind of slightly gelatinous, ill-formed clones.
Where do the rejects go though? Like, is there Trudeau clone rejects? Do they just like recycle them?
Oh,
I'd like to go to like a reunion of them. It's like that. No, we're referencing a lot of films. It's like Aliens Resurrection. You know, when they go in that lab.
Oh God!
That.
Trudeau
killing a version of himself with a flamethrower is a great image. It'd be a good T-shirt.
Would be.
Yeah.
So hold on, I just wanted to. So okay, first off, just to touch on the horrors that are your mind, Reese. This is what's going on inside your head at all times. But to say what you're talking about, Katie, they cloned a bunch of Trudeaus, but then for the Trudeau that goes outside, they decided to clone his brother.
No, his brother never died.
His brother never died. It is his brother.
Yeah, which is just like the most offensive.
It's horrible.
It's kind of really sad because he was young as well.
Yeah.
And the reason they did this instead of using another clone is because okay.
The reason is because I don't know, but yeah, but you can look it up. It's there's really good breakdown photos of different, and like the thing is, I was staring at this guy because I was like, that's a really nice suit, and they're like, his suit today, and I was like, how are you paying more attention to this guy's suit because I think he's hot, and you're like trying to like break down what he's doing. It was really incredible. It was kind of like the abyss. Like I stared into the abyss and it started looking back at me.
Have you met Trudeau?
I've never met Trudeau.
I was going to say you could verify whether he's a clone.
I'll poke him in the face. Be like, "Are you a clone?"
Exactly.
Like,
Show me a leg.
Just poke.
Show me
just
a leg.
poke.
Yeah.
In the eye. Like, are their eyes real? Like, if I just
Exactly.
go up and poke him in the eye, what happens?
Exactly. Another question.
I have
You
a
met
few thoughts about what happened.
you met Maxime Bernier.
I did.
Did he have a nice shirt on?
So,
Did he have a nice shirt on?
okay.
He always wears really loud shirts.
Now,
Oh.
I have to get into the whole Bernier thing.
Yes, please.
It has a backstory. So I got wind that Bernier was coming. And so I emailed like the PPC, like the People's Party of Canada, he's the leader of. And I kind of said, like, can I get an interview with him? Can I talk to him? Can I meet him? And I thought,
sorry for interrupting, but I thought Poilievre was the
conservative.
No, it's conservative. This is.
Oh, the PPC. Oh, sorry.
And it's funny because I seen
right.
Poilievre the same day that I saw Bernier.
You also
So you had,
interviewed
you had like
Poilievre.
a double whammy. You had a
Yeah.
right-wing sandwich.
Oh,
I did. I didn't interview Poilievre. I almost got kicked out of his event the moment of my arrival. But back to Bernier.
Let's go back to that later on. Yeah.
Yeah. So Bernier, I start emailing him, and I can't remember his name
Is it
right
because
now.
you had questions that you wanted to ask?
No. But Bernier's like handler kind of guy is infamous for being very rude to more leftists. But obviously they had never heard of me. So they said, yeah, he's going to be doing this. Like they told me his schedule. He sends me to like the Atlantic PPC guy. I start asking him and like, I get recognized at things. So I'm like, these people are going to figure me out eventually. Right. So they send me to like the Halifax PPC saying, okay, we'll talk to them and arrange things. And, I started talking about. I was very careful to not say I supported him or anything like that. Like I wasn't softening them up to get in. I was just being very platonic. And I said, well, I really hope that he's wearing a floral shirt because I love his shirts. I think he's a snappy dresser. I'm all about it. And it's funny because Bernier.
That was clever.
Yes.
Yeah, very well done.
But Bernier is kind of like he wants to be what Trudeau is because his father was from politics and he got into politics and he just never peaked, right? He went for conservative leadership before he lost at 49%.
He was super close.
He was extremely close to being the leader of the Conservative Party.
Wow.
But anyway, so I get in. I do this for over a month. This takes me over a month to get this close to Bernier.
Oh, so Bernier's in Nova Scotia for a month, or
No. I mean, I worked a month to make sure that this
Ready
day
for an
of-
event.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
So he's finally here. And the first thing he's doing is he's taking the Halifax ferry from Dartmouth to Halifax. I was like, I have to get on the ferry with him. So I go, and the PBC local party is there. And I'm like, they're gonna recognize me. Like they have to. They don't. So I get on the ferry with Bernier, and he's talking to me, and I have photos of us on the ferry, like, and I'm like, holy shit, I got away with it. Like, they don't know who I am. And later that evening, he was having a cocktail party. So it's like, I'm in. I can go to the cocktail party. I can go to his talk. I can go to his rally. Nobody's going to punch me in the face. Which was my main thing, because when I did all the convoy stuff, I was trying to be recognized and I was threatened.
Really?
Yeah. I have stories.
I thought everyone online says the convoy was just a peaceful protest.
Oh, it's peaceful. Didn't make a sound.
No, exactly.
No, yeah.
It's just people, just citizens. Anyway, sorry.
But anyway,
I can't maintain that.
I introduced myself to Bernier and his kind of team that was with him on the ferry, and I show back up. Well, after that, I stay in Halifax to go to the Poilievre rally. I go home, I get ready, I go to the cocktail party. And I arrive, and that day, Maxime Bernier went out and bought a floral shirt that he specifically wore because I was coming.
No. Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Is that now known as the Katy shirt?
It is. Yeah,
Yes.
I have a photo of it. But yeah, he was wearing a floral shirt because I was like, he better be wearing a floral shirt. And I went to a cocktail party with them. I thought it was... I show up. It's at what hotel is that? By the casino. Marriott? Maybe?
Oh, the Marriott.
Yeah. So I go in. I'm thinking nobody knows who I am here. This is awesome. I'm just gonna mingle. I'm gonna
Right.
I walk in. You get one free drink with your cocktail ticket. So I get my drink. Immediately, someone comes up and says, "You're Katy Jean." And I was like, "Fuck!" And they're like, "What are you doing here?" And I said, well, it's not every day you get to see Maxime Bernier, and I just want to see what everything's about. I'm not here to criticize or cause a scene or anything. I'm just here to be here. And the night went well.
That went over well with whoever asked you what you're doing there?
They stood next to me the entire evening.
That's funny.
They were nice, and when we got to kind of more controversial topics, we both knew to just stop talking, and we would change the subject. Neither of us
talk about the stuff that you've got common ground on.
Yeah,
avoid the stuff
we
is
both like floral shirts.
So they actually the BBC were quite nice to me. The one drink ticket that you got, I was ready to buy more, but they kept just coming around with drink trays.
Oh, that's funny.
And I just kept taking them. So by the end of the night,
oh Lord.
The people's party of cocktails.
Yeah.
If I may.
Exactly. So
you should see Reese's face. He's very proud of that joke.
This was in May, and this was when Poilievre was getting set to run for Conservative leader.
Yeah.
And by the end of the night, Maxime Bernier has his arms around me saying,
What?
he's gonna win. I am so sorry. And I'm telling him, I was like, he can't win. And I was like, this is
Maxime Bernier has his arms around you saying that Poilievre is going to win?
Yeah, because I was telling him, I know he's going to win. Please tell me he's not going to win. And he's telling me, no, he's going to win.
Does Bernier, because in the UK, you had the same thing. The UKIP started to steal votes from the right of the Conservatives, and eventually the Conservatives just consumed and became UKIP. Was Bernier afraid that Poilievre was just going to consume the PPC party?
No.
Okay.
So
he could always go further right, I guess.
So you did get to talk with Bernier, but more in a drunken sort of
I did do
atmosphere.
a small interview with him, and I had every intention of putting it online. But like I was telling Reese before this, when you write something down or you post photos, the screenshots take it out of context. I'm fine with speaking about it because you can hear how I'm talking about it. Whereas when you put it down, it can be... and then forever.
It really depends on who
supporting
is
the PPC,
writing the article and taking taking the snippet out, because
exactly.
if they like you, they'll make sure it comes in context. If they don't like you, they'll
hashtag cancel Katy.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. He did know that he was going to win. He didn't say which way he supported him. He doesn't support Poilievre, of course, and
he doesn't.
No,
Poilievre is an insider. He's
Yes.
a political insider. He's painted himself as an outsider.
What do you mean?
He's been in Parliament for like decades since he was in his 20s. He's tried to make it seem like he's with the convoys and he's an outsider. He's not. Whereas I guess Bernier is also not an outsider, but he has become one. He's been ostracized, I guess.
Yeah. So when I was at his rally, like the cocktail party, the rally was supposed to be outside. It was held inside, which was terrifying because COVID was like on the rise. And I was like, I'm definitely going to get it now.
Did you?
No.
Oh, wow.
I tested myself every day for a week and I did not get COVID.
Wow.
And I'll get back to why I think I might have not gotten COVID from that. But
like cocktails.
Yeah, right. At
Something
his
in them.
rally, like he was saying, like, I have no intention of, taking seats right now. He said he more compared himself to the Green Party, that he's just like, this is going to take time to build up a party.
Mm-hmm.
We can take over, because he really doesn't want to paint himself as right wing. He doesn't want to be seen as that. Like
he's in the PPC.
He's the leader of it, yeah.
And he doesn't want to be seen as the right. Like you can't get any more right wing.
No, you really can't. But that's not how he wants the party to be taken over, because if you do go that right wing, nobody's going to take you seriously. Nobody's going to vote for you.
Well,
right?
I mean, they get votes, don't they?
Like, they've never taken a seat, though, like to realistically get a seat.
So I don't understand. I don't get it. That doesn't make any... What?
He wants to make the PPC like a viable party.
That's a decades-long project, though.
Yeah, and like he's willing, like he knows he's nothing.
Like me getting in the food industry and making, drinks that are 3/4 white sugar and 1/4 maple syrup, and saying, yeah, but I don't want to be seen as unhealthy. Right. I don't want anyone to ever.
It's going to take a long time to convince people this is healthy.
But what was really interesting was at his rally, somebody kind of yelled out like that NDP Liberal Coalition is illegal and blah, blah, blah. And like, these are his supporters sitting in front of him. They're paying him money. They're funding his party. And he actually stops the person and says, no, what they're doing is actually really smart. And that's our parliamentary system working. And they should continue to do that if they want to keep their seats. Like, he shut down his own supporter to say like that, no, like you're not understanding how your government works.
That goes towards another theory of mine that I wanted to ask you about, which, I mean, we can do it later. I don't want to interrupt your train of thought.
No. But so when he's doing this big speech, I have the entire thing recorded. It was like over an hour he was speaking. He's talking about vaccines because he doesn't believe in vaccine mandates. That's why he was driving around. He drove to Nova Scotia in like a regular car because he couldn't fly because he wasn't vaccinated. He'd been arrested before for not being...
He got arrested like all across Canada.
Yeah. But anyway, so he's talking about how they believe in the freedom to do with your body whatever you want. And
I think I'm glad we had a Maxine Band-Aid, but I do believe...
Maxine Band-Aid.
A Maxime Band-Aid.
Did you meet Maxime Bernier in a van?
A Maxime Band-Aid.
I'm glad we had a vaccine... Jesus, I can't even say it now.
A cheeseburger in the back of a van with Maxime Bernier.
I'm glad we had a vaccine mandate. There we go. I had to think about it in my head. But that being said, I do believe that there is some interesting points to be said about... body autonomy and what the government can tell us what to do or not to do in general, and the fact that falls into that in some area. It's a gray area is what I'm saying. It makes for interesting debate. I'm glad it happened. I think it saved a lot of lives. But that being said, I think there are some interesting points when it comes to that specific argument. Yeah.
But yeah, so when I'm going into this PPC event, there's like preachers handing out prayer cards and crap like that out front. Not crap like that. I'm sorry.
No.
There's
it's crap like that. It's okay.
Very pushy, Bible thumpers.
There are preachers wasting trees.
Yes. But so he's talking about, the freedom to do it with your body. And then he says, and that's why we're not going to take a stance on abortion, because we believe in the freedom of choosing what's right for your body. And the air left that room.
I was going to say, when you said body autonomy, it's like body autonomy, but no, shh, don't talk about that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm
body
like,
autonomy.
See, this guy doesn't sound like. So hold on, he's talking about how coalition government is a smart thing for them to do. He's talking about how freedom of bodily choice and what did you just say?
Abortion, essentially.
Abortion. No, it was. Oh my God, what's the term that's used? It's gone right out of my head.
Autonomy.
yeah, bodily autonomy is a good thing. He's talking about how he doesn't want to be seen as right wing, and he's running for the PPC. Like, what is going on? What is he know the party he's running for? Did somebody tell him?
Okay, but after this abortion comment where I'm like, I'm the only one in the room that like wants to clap. I'm like, fucking right, awesome, go Maxime Bernier. Immediately he goes into, but we're gonna ban immigration. I was like, fuck, man, you were this close. You could have sold me, but yeah, he's like total anti-immigration. It really borders on racism at times. Like the examples he uses, he has. I know, because like you could almost convince me if you took Maxime Bernier out of context that this guy, like, but he is a career politician. Like, he's not stupid. Like, everyone paints him as stupid. He's not. And that's kind of what makes the whole thing dangerous, is if he gets the right amount of followers and this guy knows what he's doing, he can really control things. He knows how to talk to people. He knows how to word things. But yeah, no, the whole thing was, really good until it went real bad, real fast.
But I'm still visualizing the end of the night where the two of you drunkenly have your arms over each other.
Did you go and get some pizza on Pizza Corner, or how did the night end?
No, I took a very tipsy ferry home.
Cool. Yeah. No, do Poilievre. Tell us about Poilievre. Do that
one. Okay. So I take the ferry with Bernier and his team. Everything goes successful. An hour later, Poilievre is supposed to be at the HFX Sports Bar, whatever that is, by Sigil Hill. I had also worked for 2 months emailing his team.
Is that what used to be the Palace? Oh, what am I asking you?
I've only lived here 5 years.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is.
Turned a recent. Exactly.
So I had also really tried to get into his team, and I was making a lot of progress. Getting an interview with Pierre Poilievre until
is it Poilievre or Poilievre?
I call him Poilievre. I don't know.
Have we been saying it wrong the whole time?
I just say Poilievre. I don't know. We say everything wrong.
Poilievre.
That's true, yeah.
We're not a serious
Pierre.
Let's call him Pierre.
Pierre.
Yeah.
So I had worked very hard to go with Pierre's team, and like 3 days before, they ghost me and they cut me off, and they're just like, no, he's not going to be available for interview. They must have, because so I wait after Maxime. I go up. I took some footage of people going into Pierre's rally. I was hoping to, sell it to CTV or something like that. And I walk in after, like, I'm one of the last, and I take 2 steps into the front doors just beyond the bouncers, and this man stops me and he says, I know your Twitter. Now, usually the deflection with this is, I know your Twitter. No, this was, I know your Twitter. You're Katy. And I was like, yeah. And he just, like, all of a sudden there's like people walking around me, and there was like people whispering, and
oops, she's Katy.
Yeah, like
her on Twitter. Was
yeah,
that what it was like?
Yeah. So I asked them, like, can I set up my camera somewhere for media? And they're like, we're not sure. And then like that guy goes away. So I think they were thinking of kicking me out.
This is at Pierre's.
Okay,
yeah.
They're probably weighing up. Is it better to kick you out, or is that going to look bad?
Exactly.
It
would be
like
the least
damage?
Like, I don't know if you know who Karima is on Twitter, but she did all the convoys and stuff. And when she got kicked out of Doug Ford's rally, that was a PR nightmare. Anyway, they don't kick me out, but they don't give me a spot to film anything. Now, I will tell you, I was a little bit of an asshole going into this because I wore a bright red dress, and then I put on my stark white N95 mask. Okay. I was the only one wearing a mask other than one other person.
So you tried to stand out as much as possible.
Yeah, so I'm like in middle of the crowd. I have my tripod. I have my phone on my tripod, and I start filming him. And Pierre Poilievre, like 30 seconds in to his speech, just like makes eye contact with me. And he stares into my little leftist soul. And I'm like, fuck you, Pierre. I'm going to stare right back at you. So we have like, for like, I'm not kidding, 45 seconds, I have the footage. He's just like
Is he talking while he's looking in your eyes?
Yes.
It's not just an uncomfortable silence.
No, he's talking, but like
stops
the crowd. The crowd.
I can see his mind turning of like, who the fuck let her in? Like,
yeah,
this,
and he's
like,
trying to stay on track with his speech. While,
yeah, and he's just like keeps talking, but you can.
And he's
tell,
letting you know
like,
that he sees you.
if he had a panic button, like he'd be hitting it like it'd be like Willy Wonka, like the floor would go out under me or something like that. But so yeah, that was really uncomfortable. I thought I was going to get punched in the face. I did.
Did you feel safer with the PPC or the Conservatives?
PPC, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like if I'm ever in trouble, I'm running for Maxime.
So it sounds like the PPC. I can't believe I'm about to say these words. I just can't. These words. I can't.
Say it.
It sounds like the PPC was like a safe, comfortable, fun time.
It was.
Like,
I know. It's fucked. I can't believe it.
That should be the tagline. Vote PPC for a safe, comfortable, fun time.
But so I did months of convoy footage. I met the Queen of Canada. I've been in a lot of sticky situations, but I was never so convinced that I was about to be punched in the face than I was at Pierre. Like I was actually, the moment that was over, I got out so fast. I'd even go through the front door. I found another media person that somebody was yelling at her for wearing a mask. We actually found a back door out of the bar.
It's the kind of thing where you were on a phone to make it seem like they couldn't attack you because you were on the phone to a safe person.
No, we literally, we just started barreling through the crowd until we found a back door out of the bar and we ran.
That's crazy.
Out because they started yelling at us about our masks.
At Pierre.
Oh yeah, man! No, fuck
yelling
that.
at you about your mask.
But then,
hold on, wait. Sorry, what? What are they?
Because
saying?
they're all anti-mask.
Why do they care if
they're
you
like,
wear it?
Right? They're like, COVID's over. Get that fucking thing off your face. And I was just like,
no,
like,
it's crazy.
You dirty people.
Like, I mean, he is like, if you will say anything about Pierre, he is good at making people. He's angry. Or he comes across as angry, and he's definitely, his whole thing is, hey, let's be more angry. And I guess that
and the
he
thing
riled them up.
is, the most bizarre thing about watching Pierre was he had this, the place was packed wall to wall. Like, you couldn't move. And it was all like, truckers, burly men,
right.
Men.
Manly men.
Yeah. And it was this fucking 5'8" nerd talking about finances. So it was like, in high school, you would have beat the shit out of that guy.
Yeah.
But right now, he's like riling you up. He's like, we're going to defund the CBC and save $1 billion. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, do you even know what that means? Like,
but that's the thing is kind of platitudes that make them feel good.
Yeah, it is. It's like
he's just giving them, he's just feeding them they want to hear.
And
really.
it's becoming very dangerous.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You touched on the QAnon queen, Queen Romano. How do you say her last name? Is Didulo?
I don't know who this person is.
So can I just explain a bit to give Jesse some context? So Queen Romano Didulo is a conspiracy theorist, and she claims she is the Queen of Canada, and has also claimed she's Queen of the world. She's
like as a fun title, or actually?
No, she believes she actually has sovereign authority. So she's part of this kind of like sovereign citizen movement. There are people who believe that if you get pulled over by a police officer for speeding, that you can say, hey, I don't buy into this system of laws. I live by these laws that are ancient and kind of a different. I live in this country, but I actually live by different societal rules. And the people do things like they refuse to pay their mortgages anymore, and they get evicted from their homes because they don't think they have to. So she's she came here as a kid. She was an immigrant when she was I think she was about 15, or she was a teenager, I believe. She came from the Philippines, and she's had a few businesses here, but essentially she's become like a QAnon. She was known as the QAnon queen for a while. She's become this kind of conspiracy influencer, an icon. She got some of her followers to try and arrest some police officers in November, and she also has these kind of they send out letters to people saying we're gonna arrest you and execute you,
Jesus,
just because they've enforced like mask mandates or whatever.
So hold on, wait. Okay, well, I mean that's a death threat, and that is punishable by law. Like,
But she has like about 50,000 followers on Telegram. She's got
but like that's a. Oh no, I'm saying that's illegal. She could go to jail just for that. Like,
she has been arrested and also has
maybe not jail. I don't know what that fine is, but like,
well, she said she incited a shoot to kill order for healthcare providers to her followers. And
Jesus fuck,
and people that vaccinate their children.
Yes, and she's
to kill them. Shoot and kill these people.
Yeah, she got arrested for that.
Yeah, and she was.
Oh my God.
She did have a psychiatric evaluation when she was arrested too, and she claims that the Queen Elizabeth was actually executed for crimes against humanity, and that. So 30 of her followers tried to arrest the police in Peterborough, Ontario, and make a citizen's arrest of the police, who ended up getting arrested themselves.
That's funny.
Currently, though, she is touring Canada in an RV that she stole. She initially rented it from a family, and they want it back, but she's not answering their calls apparently. And she's been in Nova Scotia because she wanted to prove that Hurricane Fiona didn't happen or something.
Yeah.
And Katy has hung out with her.
Yeah. I know. Okay. So
you've got a track record of hanging out with crazy people. So
well, like the thing is, like, I understand and I acknowledge that my Twitter and media that I follow is very left. And I understand a lot of the times I live in an echo chamber. So although I probably shouldn't go as extravagant as I do, I like to go and see these people because I'm like, is there something I'm missing? Like, is there a context that's not being given to me? Because we see how
you're actually trying to keep an open mind.
It's like
but not really. Like, I know.
But not really. I don't want an open mind.
It's like you stood on a harbour and you go, I've never been on a boat. And your first time you go on a boat, you decide to spend like 3 months on a super tanker.
Right, exactly. I go 0 to 100 because I'm like, these people are getting money, like political or conspiracy theories or whatever. They have followers. What is it? Like, what do they have? Like, what are they offering that maybe I don't know about? Because we see all the time the right saying crazy conspiracy theories that we know aren't true. So is there left conspiracy theories that they're just like, that's not true? You know, that's not happening. That's not real. So I like to meet these people. So as you know, we've been trying to do this podcast since like last August, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm a very scheduled but yet busy person. I found out the night before that the Queen of Canada was coming to Halifax, and I totally cleared my schedule. Like, no responsibility. I did not give a shit. I was just like, I gotta go. My friend Jordan invited me. So we go, and she was coming to like the garrison grounds on Citadel Hill. And so we start walking around Citadel Hill, a Sunday snowy morning in Halifax. I think it was in February. And I see the RV and I'm like, holy shit, she's real. Like, that's all I could think. Like,
no, Jesse, this is the RV.
Oh, wow. Meet and what's it say?
Meet and greet Her Majesty Queen Romano, Commander-in-Chief of the Kingdom of Canada, with a picture of herself and her logo, which is, yeah.
But like, you know, when you see someone...
That's an ugly RV with her face on it. Okay.
But when you see someone like online for so long, like, and you actually see like this RV is actually driving, you're like, oh my God, like, how is this actually happening? So first we see them go by, they try to go to the top of Citadel Hill and like park there, and you just like, you can't just go there, right? So she has...
You can't park a large RV anywhere you want on Citadel Hill. It's a through road, and it's like parking is restricted.
There's parking.
There is parking for small vehicles,
I guess.
Yeah, but she like, but I
you
think
have to like park diagonally.
This is like the size of a school bus, so like a large school bus.
It is parked over like 4 different.
Even there she's parked around.
So at this time, there's like her, and there's like a small convoy of vehicles before they come back down. Jordan and I go to the garrison grounds, wait for them where they're supposed to be. Obviously, they just didn't know where they were. Also, like, they had no idea the shape of Halifax. And so they come down, they park, and somebody comes in and says, it's just Jordan and I in the entire parking lot. Like, and they're like, the Queen's not ready yet. probably because there's only 2 people that showed up on this thing that she's been talking about on Telegram.
Were they going to like open the door and like throw paddles in front of her? And expect
yeah. So
hold on, they were expecting a huge following to show up, and nobody did.
I think so.
That's funny.
We go out, we go down, we get ourselves a coffee, and we come back, and then there's some.
That's going to be us, Reese, if we go on tour.
Yeah.
But there's some vehicles now. There's some people.
There's now 6 people there.
Yeah, right. And so we say we want to meet her, and
they're like, thank God, somebody.
No, her vehicle is packed of people. But at that time, she wanted people to come into the RV to meet her, but you couldn't have phones, you couldn't record anything. And I was like, well, I'm about to get punched in the face because I am recording this with my phone, the entire thing. So
just like secretly in your pocket sort of thing?
Yeah. So and Jordan, he has like a recording device with him that I'm trying to cover on his pocket. And so we wait in line, and then as our turn comes up, they say, actually, she's going to come out. And we're like, okay, like we just want to meet her. We had already like made up this whole backstory that we were married and we had a child that didn't exist, and a French man.
And don't worry, we didn't vaccinate our child.
No,
your child was a French man.
No, but there's a French man that was in Ottawa during the convoy, and the Queen of Canada had burned a flag on Parliament Hill during the convoy, and he was there, and he decided to follow her. He was from Quebec, took his own vehicle and followed her down, and he like started talking to me while we were in the lineup, and it was the first time since COVID that a stranger had kissed my cheek. He like started hugging me and kissing my cheek. I was like, holy shit, I'm so screwed.
Wow.
But anyway, okay, so the Queen of Canada is going to come out. There's probably 15, 20 people there. And they get us to line up on a like crack in the parking lot because she wants to hug us all.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
So we line up on this crack. Then the crack's not good enough. And it's the woman that was doing it still with her today. Like, I still recognize her. She's still traveling with her.
Is that a concierge?
Yeah. And at this time, she had a security guy that was really not someone that I want to be around. I don't know if he's with her anymore, if he's one of the ones he dumped in Newfoundland. But that wasn't a good enough spot. So they line us up somewhere else. And then...
This crack on the floor isn't regal enough.
Exactly. So we line up somewhere else, and then 2 people come out with their huge Kingdom of Canada purple flags, and the Queen comes out. And it's kind of funny because she's like 5'0". And so before I did all of this in my life, I worked in the food industry as a server. So I'm pretty good at like picking up a vibe off of someone pretty quick, you know.
Okay, yeah.
You know, and she comes out, and she just seemed like the most normal, polite,
really
ordinary person. Like if I were working at a restaurant and she sat down, I would not think anything of her. She had no, you know,
there's no energy off.
No energy off of her, like nothing. She just like came out. She was polite. She was talking to everyone. You know, she was lucid. She seemed, except lucid. someone asked
the
where
Queen of Canada like lucid.
Yeah, but somebody asked her where the security was, and then she started pointing to the sky, and she said, "Oh, you know, around." And I was like, "Okay, yeah." No,
there's a sniper on 4 roofs.
Right, exactly.
A sniper on 4 roofs. Yeah.
She hugs everyone, and there's this family there that I had tried to strike up conversation with because, of course, I'm there. I want to know what everyone thinks about. Why are you there? Why do you follow her? And they like, I said,
you're brave, by the way.
I don't know if it's bravery or stupidity.
Very close.
But so I'm asking why they're there, and I say, you know, where are you from? And they said Nova Scotia. I was like, obviously, we're in Nova Scotia right now. And I was like, well, where did you come from? And she was like, oh, you know, about an hour and a half away. And I'm like, they're being really reserved.
Right.
And then, of course, I'm like, do they know who I am or something? But she has children with her, like a baby and like 3 kids.
Get the Queen to bless them.
Yeah. So it turns out her son, who is maybe, I don't know, 6, 7 years old, designed their military logo, the Queen of Canada's military logo.
In like a contest?
I don't
win,
know.
Win $10 worth of Toys R Us vouchers.
Right. I don't
Design
know.
our military logo.
But
It's like,
everything was already kind of a weird vibe amongst the crowd. One person also said the war in Ukraine wasn't happening because planes don't fly that way that you see in footage. It's all fake.
Oh my God.
So
planes don't fly that way.
But so the Queen finally gets up to this family and she hugs the child, and the child breaks down into tears, like relief, like as if he was meeting the Pope. Like, I mean, this whole family,
really?
legitimately, like
That
this
poor kid, man.
This was a big deal to them, and that's when I was like, "Oh my God!"
I used to feel like that about Bill Murray until things came out.
Right? Yes.
So.
Just like, but it was like the most. That's when I was like,
That's very
holy
sad.
shit.
That's sad.
Like,
Genuinely sad. Like,
yeah. And that's
kids are so impressionable, right? Like, you know, you can. I mean,
but you could tell the mother too was like, this was like a big deal. This was the Queen of Canada to them. This was meeting like a really significant person. And I just couldn't understand it. It was as if they were speaking another language. Like, it was as if I was in a foreign country and I had no idea, because I was like, what are you believing?
But when you talk about like bubbles and echo chambers, like if all of the media you consume is in that ecosystem, then it's easy to go why you can replace meeting. I'm sure there's all somebody we'd love to meet and we'd probably have an emotional reaction to.
Yeah.
But if you're in an echo chamber or a bubble, maybe as a family they only consume the kind of news content and everything and videos that would allow you to have that emotional reaction. That's obviously which is scary, because it shows how all of us are living in the same country or community.
You
but
read
we're all
about
seeing the world
that.
differently. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you read about that. Like, to actually witness a follower that hardcore that was something.
What was that like for you?
It just took my breath away. It was just, again, like, it was as if I was transported to like another planet. Like, I was like, how is this real?
Right.
How is this actually happening to people? Because like you mentioned, you know, people are losing their houses. They're not paying their power bills because they actually believe she's taking over Canada. They're going into police stations trying to arrest police officers. Like, they're threatening officials. Like, these people are really like, and now that I've seen it, they actually are in 100%. Like, as much as we think, like, or maybe from the outside, we know that she's not legitimate. Obviously, she is not the Queen of Canada. There's a significant portion of people that do believe in her. And it's scary.
Wow. So her claim is that she is the original sovereignty. Sovereignty?
No, the Queen the Queen when she was alive was actually executed, and there's probably some clones in there. I imagine. I did read about some.
Yeah, she believes in the clone theory.
No, honestly,
really?
The clone theory ties in.
I wasn't sure if you were joking or not.
You said this to me another episode ago. Join the dots, Jesse. It all makes sense.
Join
the dots. So, but yeah, I think and when you see like. You know, when you see like hear about cults, like I listen to podcasts about cults and everything, and like it is just that people are. It's almost like it's kind of like not on a compound. It's these kind of cults. They don't. Whereas people used to go and live on some compound and be kind of reprogrammed.
Now they're in your community.
No, because they don't need to do that anymore. Everyone can just pipe all that information and shut out all other information, even isolate themselves from friends or colleagues who don't agree with them or don't understand how they see the world. It's now like kind of like, it's in everyone's community. It's kind of like a massive network of.
It's accessible. And I know, like, talking about Maxime and Pierre to her, like, it's.
She'll just execute them anyway.
Yeah, I know. And this is what's scary was.
All right, I forgot she was giving execution orders. And you said like she seemed normal and nice and
she
kind.
was like, there was nothing that set off alarm bells with me. And like, there was people on her team that. You know, I know that they do have a gun on the RV. I know that they are armed. And there was people that, you know, I thought, at least I'm in downtown Halifax. At any time I can bail down a side street if I'm feeling unsafe.
Right.
I'm not going to put myself that far out there. As I said, with leaving the Pierre thing through the back door.
Run through the secret underground tunnels.
Did you feel more safe with the Queen of Canada than you did with Pierre?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's so bizarre. Like,
what the fuck?
I think it was just like, I mean, she had a significant amount, like less of people. I think if you filled up a Queen of Canada supporter, a bar full of them, I think I
How
would
many people
just.
were there?
At the Queen of Canada?
Yeah. Just trying to visualize
15
this.
to 20, probably, maybe slightly more. Not many.
Wow. Okay. All lined up in a row in a dirty parking lot to hug her.
Yeah.
with their kids.
Yeah. But like, the thing is, so she comes up to me and she gives me my hug. And I'm thinking, like, a month before I had taken part in a vaccine study. Like, I got my booster, but I didn't know what it was. It was a literal vaccine study. And I'm thinking, as this woman's hugging me, like, you literally called for me to be shot.
Oh, wow.
Like,
right.
And so she's also supposed to almost be like an oracle. Like, she knows vibes.
God.
Like, she can bless babies and shit. And I'm like,
she's an oracle.
Yeah. She, like, there's something that she knows about children. I haven't gotten clear definition on that yet. But I was just like, do you not feel my vibe? Because my vibe is not your vibe. But yeah, no, it was, the whole thing really was extraordinary. I mean, I knew Pierre had aggressive followers. I know Maxime had, more the right wing. He has a lot of NDP flippers too that got sick of Jagmeet Singh. He actually has a significant portion of NDP flippers. But
sorry, who does?
Maxime Bernier.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of I guess
that's
like
where he's actually getting most of his followers are greens and oranges.
Are you fucking serious?
I am absolutely
the PPC
not. Is an anti-establishment kind of strand, I guess.
Yeah.
That's so
if you
weird.
can just get past all the
I had a thought just now when you were talking about the Queen of Canada and conspiracy theorists in general. Like there's two ways to make yourself in general, and we see this from people all the time. There's two ways to make yourself appear like a better version of yourself, appear to be a leader, appear to be confident, appear to be attractive, appear to be just in that sort of direction. And that's the first way is the hardest way, which is to actually do those things, is to actually, be productive, be just like productive in so many different ways, work on yourself, work on, helping other people, and talk about the things that you're going to do and then actually go and do them. And that takes a lot of work. And you have to have some levels of success in order to do that, in order to have people believe, you say that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. But if you can do those things successfully, it can really boost you up. The other way, which is what the lazy way, is to not work on yourself, but just to work on putting everyone around you down.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Is like, I don't have to actually be a better person. I just have to make sure that everyone around me appears lesser than me, and I have to convince other people of that. And so I just had a thought right now about conspiracy theorists, about how people who are in general dissatisfied is probably it's not the word I'm looking for. Greatly dissatisfied with the current level of government or society in general.
Well, life in general. And instead of saying, hey, here are some ways that we can make life better, if you can just point out, poke holes in the current system, no matter how you do it, right? People are going to get on board with you. Again, like, if not that like, hey, I'm going to take over Canada and these are the great things I'm going to do with it. Instead, I'm going to take over Canada and the people who are currently running Canada are doing a shit job and here's why, right? They don't have to say a thing about themselves. No.
Do, yeah.
The interesting thing I find is, like, as someone who grew up in the UK.
Just to finish what I'm saying, here, like, they can poke holes in the current system and they don't even have to be accurate holes, whatsoever. Yeah. That's what I think where a lot of conspiracy theories come from. Like,
and as you were talking about how people put themselves across, when you were talking about when you met her, she was polite, she was chatty, is exactly how, growing up in the UK, I know people who have met the Queen or Prince Charles, and everyone's like, oh, what would they be like? And they would describe the actual Queen and the new king in exactly the same way. Well, everyone, says, you never know what someone's like till you meet them, but they were polite, they were super quiet, they weren't, and it's really funny. She's almost like nailed that performance down.
Yeah.
This is how she met, watch the Queen's
performance. This is how a real monarch should interact with his subjects.
One thing that was really weird, I just remembered, was she came out in like a white coat and toque, and her hands were freezing. It was really cold. It was February.
Right. Does she not have
And
gloves on?
I always carry extra gloves with me. So I offered them to her.
Oh.
And they were like quickly returned to me. And then someone else tried to offer her gloves and she wouldn't take the gloves. Like, I don't know, maybe if she's a germaphobe. I don't know.
The gloves are unbefitting of a queen.
Yeah, or like, I don't know if she saw that as like a security threat, but it was...
Did you fill your gloves with anthrax?
I was just going
Right.
to say the exact same thing.
Yeah. But like, and it's amazing that like they do carry a gun on board. They do security checks, but it's like, have they scammed us so hard that they believe it? Like, have they lied so much that they are now begin to lie? Because that's where it's going to get really dangerous. Is
Yes.
if they start believing themselves and they start seeing threats like
actually
their
had
followers do.
There's a
ahead,
good
Reese.
chance
Yeah.
that Jesus was driving around the Middle East in a stolen RV. And look where that ended up.
Well, crucified. That ended horribly. Who would want to go like Jesus?
Yeah, but his legacy.
Yeah. It was totally worth it.
So that does actually lead into a question that I had a while back, and I've had this question in my head just rattling around there for a while, is that do you believe that a lot of career politicians, such as Poilievre, such as Bernier, etc., even Trudeau, they don't give a shit about what they're selling. They just know it's going to sell. They pick a party and they run with it. They're like, okay, you know what? I can let's just do this party. And so, you know, like when there was an interview with Trump years ago, and I'm going to be paraphrasing because you know I don't remember it verbatim, but he was being interviewed, and this is years and years and years before anywhere close to him becoming president. I can't believe those words even came out of my mouth. And he said he was going to run for president and he was going to win. And he's like, "How are you so sure?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just going to run for the right wing. Those people are really easy to
Right.
I again greatly
Or
paraphrasing.
Republicans or something.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
know
it's
what
like
you're
those
talking
people are
about.
really easy to convince, or something. I'm greatly paraphrasing, but it came about that way, as if like, oh, it was all strategy, right?
Right.
Do you believe that our career politicians, like they don't really believe this shit? It's just to get votes. Like,
Right.
I'm in this party. This is what those people in the party believe. I'm just going to sell what they believe. Get me my votes. Let me do my thing.
So yeah. To answer that, it's kind of something I think about a lot. Just like politics can be similar to religion. Like, there's a reason why I'm not affiliated with one party. It's because I can't absolutely 100% agree with one party, one religion. You know, it's just
Right.
if you do, you're brainwashed. You know, if you can be 100% directed by one amount of thought, then what is your thought? You're not thinking anymore. So with politicians, I think that they do have some sort of, you know, semblance of caring for their country. But of course, there's no way they, at the same time, can believe 100% in what their party is doing. Like, I'm
wondering,
sure Trudeau gets up there sometimes and argues with something for the Liberals. I was just like, this is bullshit. I don't care about this. Like, there has to be. There's no way, like, because Trudeau's the leader of the party, but parties a lot of the time, the leader's kind of like a puppet. There's like a team of 100 people that are
Right.
making decisions for the politicians, right? So I think they do. And I even think Pierre could. I think Pierre maybe lost the plot on his way of really wanting to be a leader. He obviously has good thoughts. He's been a career politician for 20-some years. I find him annoying as shit, but honestly, if I think about it,
I find him frightening, honestly. I think it's like manipulative and kind of an evil genius.
But if you think of this in an actual way to get elected,
right,
just even from an MP standpoint, I want my MP to be annoying as shit and get what I want done for me, right?
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to want to
why-
be with him necessarily. You just want him to do it.
Exactly. So why wouldn't you vote for Pierre? If you were somebody that could look beyond how obnoxious he is, then yeah, he is actually going to get stuff done. And same with the Conservatives. He is.
Isn't he going to get stuff done that we don't want to happen, though?
Yes, but like people, they just want
I think
like.
that'd be a good reason not to vote for
Well,
him.
there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who voted for Trump just because he wasn't a Washington insider.
Yeah.
They voted for him because they knew he was going to stir things up a bit. And
But like, and the same with winning conservative leadership. It's like, So no, he's not perfect, but he will, by annoying people so much, get things, he'll be effective. So when he says he's going to do something, he does do it. Now, is that in the best interest for Canadians? Is that in the best interest for his party? Who knows? He's rallied in this whole new amount of voters that didn't exist before, especially like the under 40s that are less likely to vote. He's somehow pulled them in from God knows where. Yeah.
Right.
As a new immigrant as well, some of the things he's been talking about are going to resonate with new immigrants because the whole thing he talks about gatekeepers. He's talking about the fact that you come with international qualifications. There are barriers that stop you from being able to, like, as I know other immigrants with amazing experience and qualifications who cannot do the same profession, and they have to go back to university. And when you're trying to settle in a new country, it knocks you back in terms of your ability to turn up. And is less value for Canada as a whole to have someone with a medical profession and years of experience, but they just happen to come from a country where so I feel like what he's talking about is quite powerful.
It is.
I know what you're talking about, Reese, and I think
that my wife can't teach in Nova Scotia.
Well, I think there's value in that system. I don't think maybe the system is not being as effective as it could be, but the fact that like Canada as a whole has and I could be wrong with this. I often am, but if Canada as a whole has policies in place as, okay, if you want to be a doctor, we need you to have these certain degrees that we as a country recognize, right? If you're going to be a teacher, we need you to have these certain degrees that we as a country recognize. And if you come from other countries that have degrees that we as a country we don't know, we don't understand the education system, we don't understand what went into this degree, we just don't get it.
Yeah.
We don't want to just take everyone's word that like,
but this
sure, you're a doctor. Okay, you know what I mean?
I'll use my wife as an example.
Yeah,
she's.
Hold on, I just want to end that real quick. I'm not saying we shouldn't let them. I'm just saying I think it's not like go back to university from scratch.
Yes.
That's the
advice that my wife has been given as a teacher.
Yeah.
So I was told,
with 15 years experience and a degree specific to teaching.
So that's ridiculous. I was told that there's like an intermediate, what's the word I'm looking for? We're like, oh, you're a teacher, you're a doctor, you're an electrician, whatever. We just need you to go to take this course to kind of let you know, like, this is how we do things.
I know somebody
from scratch. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Someone who was an expert civil engineer from Ghana had to go back to university. The day he graduated, he became a professor at that institution. But he had to.
My old boss was a dentist from Mexico, and she had her own clinic that she ran with employees, and she could not be a dentist here unless she went and did the whole thing over again.
That's ridiculous.
It is.
That's ridiculous.
But Poilievre,
you understand what I'm saying? It was like, I thought I was told
exactly
that, like, okay, go do this course to make sure that you're on board with how we run things.
That's
that makes
what
sense.
Pierre wants you to believe.
Yeah. So if he's saying that,
well, I wasn't listening to Pierre.
No. But I mean, like, that's what he's running with.
But there's a bunch of immigrants across the country, like my family and other people, who are going, well, if he gets in and he does that, my income will double because I might be able to finally get my qualifications recognized, and I won't have to go back to full-time education and all the costs that entail to that. You know, the things the stuff he's saying, he's tapping into where he's identifying where people are angry and why, and he's saying things that even if you only hear that one thing and you only remember that one thing, because that's going to have the most impact on your life.
And some of them are literally impossible, or have the paths that he wants to take do not exist. Oh. Like, there's things that he has promised about like how the government runs that it just doesn't work that way.
But people are angry about it.
Yeah.
You can tell I get angry about
like what?
The situation. Well, just with the fact my wife can't do her profession.
Right.
I get angry about that because she's really good at it. And I'm like,
yeah, we
want to contribute positively to Canada. And she just wants to teach.
I mean, it makes, that's understandably something that we would, as a whole, probably want to address. So you're saying that he's like, he has all this kind of evil agenda, but it will sprinkle it with really good ideas that'll get people on board.
But the thing is that actually I don't think he could change it because it's a provincial thing anyway.
Yeah, like healthcare. He goes after healthcare a lot, and it's just like, that's really cool, but healthcare is a provincial issue. Like, there's a federal, oversight
$1 billion off the CBC for more hospital beds. There's nothing he can do about that.
Exactly. Like, he can't take that money and put it into, your roads. Like he can't. That's a municipal thing. Like he like. And there's no way, being a politician for 20 years, he doesn't know this. Like,
right.
So there's a lot of things that he promises
people,
that he literally couldn't do if he were prime minister.
And I say
interesting.
And I say my example only because as a new immigrant, I don't understand, or I'm 200 episodes later of a podcast about Canadian politics. I understand Canadian politics better, but I still have big gaps. Not everyone's going to launch a podcast about politics and learn about Canadian politics.
Yeah.
So as a lot of the new immigrants are coming in who are just going to hear that soundbite and go, I'm going to vote for the person who's will allow me to be an anaesthetist rather than, work at Sobeys. So it's just,
And
it'd be like voting for Justin Trudeau, who said like, "Hey, we're gonna have
free hats,
free hats for everybody."
My head's cold,
right?
Exactly.
And I mean,
but like on the side, he's also like just like personally killing a box of puppies every single day. But at least he's giving up free hats, So is that
but the good, like the advantage that Pierre has is Trudeau's been prime minister for 7 years,
and he kind of looks tired.
Yeah, he does.
He does look tired. He still
happens to everyone.
He still looks great for his age, and that's probably because he's a fresh clone.
Yeah, it's freshly ironed. They steam them at night.
His clones.
But like the thing is, he is able to, springboard off of everything that hasn't been done for the last 7 years. He's in a really good position,
right,
when the next election comes up, because also Trudeau went minority twice. He really could win off of what he's doing.
That's frightening.
Like,
and if he does win, there's no guarantee that immigrants will be allowed to work.
No, exactly. So like the only good thing if Pierre did win is that it might just like
which Pierre?
That Pierre. Okay. If he did become prime minister, like there's no way he'd get reelected, because it would just be you would see the proof, right?
Yeah.
Like that he was lying. And like I don't like to just
look at Trump.
Well, he lost as well.
He lost.
Well, yeah. Well, didn't he win twice?
No, he only won once.
Your mind is unbelievable.
Didn't he hold an emergency election halfway through his term or something?
No, that's just midterms.
Yeah. Your grasp on reality is wonderful. Katie, this has been amazing.
Yes.
Where can people find you? Twitter is the place that they're mainly going to go, I guess.
Yes, you can find me on Twitter. My handle is KatyNotie. That's Katy, not IE.
Perfect. And
oh my God, I thought that was your last name. Okay,
I get mail addressed to Katy Naughty all the time, like mail. I spell my name with a Y and not an IE.
I recommend people check out your feed, because you're always commenting on stuff like this, and they can participate in some of the fun that we've been describing.
You can, or you can tell me how much you hated this podcast, which is fine as long as you're clicking it. I really.
And if you're going to email me and Jesse, our execution notice is CanadianPoliticsIsBoring@gmail.com.
That's right. We look forward to reading your hate mail.
Thank you so much. And we'll be back next week. See you soon. Bye.
Katie, it was a pleasure. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.